They said something dirty to her. The single dad broke his silence and broke their noses too. Asterisk. You never forget the first time someone disrespects the person you love most in this world. For Luke, it happened on a rainy Thursday afternoon outside a high school parking lot. He was just a single dad, waiting quietly in his old pickup truck like he did every day. He'd learned to keep his head down and stay out of trouble. But that day, when his 15-year-old daughter stumbled into his truck with tears in her eyes, everything changed. Asterisk. Before we continue, if you believe in standing up for what's right, in love that protects, and in everyday people finding extraordinary courage, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Everyday Grace Stories. These real-life inspired stories bring hope, healing, and truth in a world that desperately needs it. Asterisk. Now, this is Luke's story. And it's not an easy one. Luke hadn't had an easy start in life. He grew up in a home where yelling was normal and love had strings attached. His father's fists taught him to flinch before he spoke, and by the time he turned 18, Luke had vowed never to raise his voice or his hands on anyone. He left home with nothing but a duffel bag, an old guitar, and a secret dream of peace. And then came Lily, the love of his life. His wife, his best friend. Asterisk. They were young and poor, but in love. Lily saw something in him he never saw in himself. She gave him a sense of calm he didn't know he needed. Together they built a home, not a fancy one, but a warm one. And then came their daughter, Ava. Asterisk. When Lily died suddenly of an aneurysm, Ava was only 9, and Luke, he was broken, completely. He didn't know how to cook, how to do a little girl's hair, how to explain grief to a child when he could barely breathe himself. Asterisk. But he did his best. And over the years, the bond between father and daughter grew. Stronger than most people could understand. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. He just listened, worked, and loved her the best he knew how. Asterisk. By the time Ava turned 15, she was kind, sharp, and quiet like her dad. She loved books and music. She hated loud crowds. She had a heart that bruised easily but loved even harder. Asterisk. But the world isn't always kind to girls like Ava. It started with whispers in the hallway. Boys making comments when they thought teachers weren't listening. Ava didn't tell her dad at first. She didn't want to worry him. She told herself it wasn't a big deal, that it would pass, but it didn't. It got worse. Asterisk. One boy in particular, Travis, decided he liked making Ava uncomfortable. He'd block her locker, say things that made her skin crawl. Once, he even snapped a picture under her desk when the teacher stepped out. She heard him and his friends laugh about it after class. Asterisk. Still, she said nothing. She just came home quieter than usual. Ate dinner with her eyes down. Cried sometimes when she thought her dad wouldn't hear, but Luke noticed. He always noticed. Asterisk. One day, Ava left her journal open on her bed. And maybe he shouldn't have looked, but he did. And what he read shattered him. Not just because of what those boys had said and done, but because his daughter thought she had to endure it alone. Luke didn't sleep that night. He didn't shout. He didn't storm into the school the next morning. He just waited, watched, listened, and one day, he heard it. Asterisk. He came to pick Ava up from school like always, but she wasn't at the usual spot. She was further down the sidewalk, near the fence, cornered by 3 boys. Luke cracked the window, leaned slightly forward in his seat, and heard it. Asterisk. Come on, Ava. Don't be so stuck up, one of them said. Just a little fun? You look like you're begging for it in that tight shirt. Asterisk. Another laughed. You know she likes it? All quiet and innocent. Bet she's a freak underneath. Asterisk. Luke stepped out of the truck slowly, his hands clenched. But calm. Asterisk. Hey, he said, his voice like steel wrapped in thunder. The boys turned, startled. Asterisk. One tried to smirk. Chill, old man, we're just talking. That was the last thing he said before Luke's fist connected square with his nose. The second boy didn't even see it coming. And the third, he ran. Asterisk. Luke didn't say a word, not to them. Not to the crowd that had gathered. Not to the teachers who came running. He simply pulled Ava gently toward him, shielding her with his arms like a soldier protecting his child from a battlefield. The fallout was messy. Asterisk. There were suspensions, police reports. The boys' parents yelled and threatened lawsuits, but then Something happened. Asterisk one of the teachers, Mrs. Cardozo, stepped forward. She had heard the rumors. For months. She had even reported them, but nothing was done. Now, with Luke's actions forcing attention, the truth came pouring out. Asterisk more girls spoke up. More stories surfaced. The school board finally opened an investigation. The boys were expelled. The principal resigned. And Ava, she started therapy. She started writing again. Slowly, she smiled more. Luke didn't get arrested. The DA called it reasonable use of force under emotional distress. But Luke didn't care about the legal outcome. What mattered most was Ava. Months later, she handed him a letter. It wasn't for school or for some assignment. It was for him. Inside she wrote, "Thank you for protecting me, not just with your fist that day, but every day with your love, your patience, your presence. You've always been my hero, but now the world knows it too." Luke cried that night, really cried. Asterisk. Not because he was proud of hitting someone, but because he'd kept his promise. Asterisk. He never became his father. Asterisk. He became the man he wished he'd had. So what's the lesson here? Asterisk that there's a quiet kind of strength in love. That protection doesn't always look like war. It can look like showing up every day, even when your heart's been broken. And that sometimes silence has to break. Not with rage, but with truth. With action. Asterisk if you believe that standing up for someone you love, especially when no one else will, is the most courageous thing we can do. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Everyday Grace Stories, because the world needs more everyday heroes like Luke, and maybe someone out there needs to hear this today.